Hey guys, this is RedpoleQ here with another session of the Asia Hang Suite, and with me I have
McConnell,
as usual, and I also have a very special guest who first appeared in the last episode.
That's right. SMOOOOOOVE.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Pleasure to be here. So, we are part of PickUpAsia.com, and you can find this podcast at PickUpAsia.com as well as RedpoleQ.com/podcast. So,
Ain't no question.
yeah. So this is a tradition, I hear. We're gonna help a fellow brother out.
That's right.
That's right. We do what we can. We do what we can over here at PickUp Asia.
That's right. So we have this gentleman by the name of Etina Mukama. So he sends us this I guess message, and it reads as follow. For me, I want a very good wife to marry from Korea or Japan. Someone who is very serious. Reach me on etinamukama@gmail.com. That's spelled ETINAMUKAMA@gmail.com. Not only that, but Etina has provided us with a phone number. We looked it up, and the area code is from
Uganda.
That's right. +256 7729 98193. Etina, best of luck to you.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
It's like this, yo. This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pleasure, 50% pain, and 100% reason to remember the name.
All right, so today we're going to talk about. We had a question about height, and then we're going to talk about a little adventure that McConnell and I had. We had this adventure separately.
Thank God for that.
I was fully clothed for this adventure. So the only person who you would have gotten to see is.
Oh, yeah, the best girl. Yep.
So, maybe it's not thank God for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, unfortunately.
So we have a special Japanese adventure to share with you guys later at a little place called Sleeping Beauty.
Exciting.
All right, so Smooth, take it away.
We have our first question here. This is no name, anonymous. It reads as follows.
He's embarrassed too, so he didn't want to leave his name. He's embarrassed about the.
How important is height? I'm 5'6", and in centimeters that was 168.
Yeah, about 168, just under 168.
Great.
So I'm 163. So I guess that answers your question.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but let's talk about the height a little bit more. It's better to be taller, absolutely, definitely better to be taller. It's like when it comes to height, it's like money. The more you have, the better off you are. You'll never hear anyone say, "Yeah, I used to be good with girls, and then I lost all my wealth, and then I was amazing." I mean, I wasn't good with girls, then I lost all my wealth, and then I was amazing. Yeah, there it is. Got it the second time around. You'll never hear anyone say that, right? Now, the fact is that money doesn't, you can't get girls with money except for gold diggers and prostitutes, which is just purely semantics, really. But money definitely helps a lot. Not only because girls, it's not the money itself. It's not like it's not like girls want to have cash. It's because it means that you have access to lots of more things than other people because of the cash. And height is similar. Height is a thing where girls are into it because it implies better genes, right? But that's kind of just the way we process it. If a person's really big, then we think that they're very healthy. All right, so height is helpful in that way. Also, men are supposed to be sort of protectors. There's sort of this frame of men being able to protect them. So there's also a factor in that. And so because of that, girls have the idea that they should date a guy who's taller than them. And so, and then you hear things about, well, if you're not, actually, I've only heard this in Korea, but if you're not taller than them, then it doesn't look as good in pictures. So, so definitely height helps. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to say it wouldn't. But let me say this, too. At 163, I've gotten plenty of super fine girls with no problem. And I'm old, too. So, and I've dated girls that are taller than me. I dated girls that were 171, I guess, is the tallest girl that I had sex with. I've been on dates with girls that are even taller than that. But, that's, I don't know how tall 171 is. That's probably like 5'7" or 5'8", something like that. Yeah. And, and I've dated girls that are that height, or been on dates with, I've had sex with girls that were that height, and I've been on dates with girls that were even taller than that. So, it's not really nearly as big of a deal as you think it is. So, that's what I have to say. And, I want to add that, every one of us has like some attribute that is not ideal. It's like, is it better to be smarter? Yes. Is it better to be taller? Yes. Is it better to be more wealthy? Yes. Is it better to be fitter? Yes. Is it better to be more handsome? Yes. It's like there's lots of things that it would be. Is it better to graduate from an Ivy League? Yes. It's like we can name any number of attributes that if you had them, that would be advantageous to you. But luckily for you, pretty much no one is batting 1,000 on all of those attributes. Even we can unless it's what's that? 50 Shades of Grey. And even then, you have to come from like a troubled background where someone was when you were a child and someone was putting cigarette butts out on your body. So take your pick. Do you want to be extremely damaged where you need like to put boundaries where a woman can touch you because otherwise you freak the fuck out? Or would you rather, be like a normal wealth level? I don't know. Take your pick.
If you're that guy, you get the super quality girl of the 50 Shades movies.
Oh my God! Don't even.
In quotes.
Yeah, in quotes.
Right.
In quotes.
Yeah, for those of you who think she's fine, she's not fine. That's all I want to say. She's all awkward and mousy looking. She's like very, very average. And I know, if you live in the West, you're thinking, but that body though. It's like, well, yes, okay, I understand. There's a lot of fat girls. I understand. But there's the whole rest of the world that doesn't have fat girls. And you can go out there and you can find them. And it's great. It's a great plan. And if you're listening to this podcast, you must be interested in Asian girls. And therefore you know that you do not have to worry about girls' bodies being too big. I mean, now you might be looking for what I might consider to be too big, like The Rock, for example. He likes them King Kunta legs. Oh yeah, we'll have to link to that King Kunta video. We'll have it in the bottom there, so you can check it out. Oh, you don't know King Kunta?
No.
Oh, shit! All right, well,
Someone's gonna get an education.
So that's what I have to say. Any number of attributes that, oh, right. And in my own case, I would definitely say that, yeah, I'm 163. If I was 170 or 173 or 180, would that help? Definitely. Would I have done better with girls? Maybe not, because maybe I wouldn't have ever learned all this stuff. If I hadn't been vertically handicapped, then maybe I wouldn't have bothered. I just would have banged like mediocre girls forever. You think of our boy Armin van Buren, not
the real,
not the famous
original,
Armin van Buren, but another Dutch guy that is part of our community. And maybe you can talk a little bit about what his experience is like, because you see it in action the most.
Oh, like the positive effects.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll start with, first of all, what is handsome? And the way I heard RedpoleQ describe it is, if you're open like at least one time a month, or if you make a lot of mistakes and girls are still with you, these are good indicators of what is handsome.
Also, if you make an approach and the girls are happy when you walk over to them.
Yeah, yeah. Or you could be walking down the street of Gangnam and they approach you.
Yeah.
So these are like, you know, we call people handsome, but these are the indicators of what is useful, handsome in game. So we have a friend, right, Armin, and we go to Itaewon, which is a popular place to go at night. And girls respond
Here in Seoul, Korea. Oh yeah, we're in Seoul. I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
Still.
And it's just fascinating. It's almost like a movie watching him in set. And you know, like
that's how the girls feel.
Yeah, just last weekend, this weekend, right? So we were in Thursday party, and there's three girls. One of them is attractive and really drunk.
Okay.
And she literally throws herself at him, grabbing him by the neck, you know, and like kissing him and stuff. And her two friends just like went in the corner and waited till she was done. And this just never really happens. So, of course, there are benefits. Now, here's one of the downsides is what I wish for Armin is he would approach women that he personally found more attractive. You see, I also heard this is that handsomeness, physical attraction can only get you so far and is not enough to get the girls you really want. So that's one of the downsides, and that's why every weekend when we go out, we always encourage each other to go for women we are really attracted to. And you know, I wing him also all the time, and it's fine because what I've done is I've worked on my game, and that gives me the edge. Versus we had a field report where there's one guy in the community in China, and he has handsome wingmen, and the women are always flocking to the handsome men. But that never really happens to me. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you work on your game, and I've met several handsome guys who have the same, you know, good-looking guys who have the same problem. It's like the girls are really excited when they first get there, and then after like a few minutes, the girls are like, I had a guy who told me that was like his specific problem, but you know, he didn't sign up for a boot camp, so he was happy to just keep getting those same like, you know, mediocre girls. And I think that is really a problem. I mean, you know, when you're an average-looking guy, you know, even if you want to get just average girls, you have to put in effort. So then you're like, well, fuck, if I got to put in effort for these girls, I might as well just put in a little bit more effort and get better girls. Whereas, like, if you're a good-looking guy, you can easily close girls that most guys think are attractive. And then moving up in the levels is really hard for you because you're so used to getting good reactions early on. So it's much harder to make that transition. Whereas, you know, I'm used to girls blowing me out all the time. So it's like, well, if I'm going to get blown out, I might as well get blown out by a girl who's actually really good.
Yeah.
You know, like, for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Do you have any... how tall are you?
5'8" or 173 centimeters. 174.
That's pretty good. How tall are you?
175.
Wow.
Or something.
Everybody's so tall.
Yeah. And, you know, some other great stories is one of the guys who did a boot camp, Tall Order.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He is 5'6", probably 5'6", 5'7".
Something like that, which is maybe not 5'7". I don't know. It's like, you know, I have no idea how tall people are.
Yeah.
No idea.
Well, anyways, you know, he was terrified of tall women until after the boot camp. He just saw that it's totally possible. And we gave him the name Tall Order because it's something he can and will live up to.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe you want to tell the story about the guy that you were telling us before we started this recording, because, you know, this is a great indication, because most guys would think, oh, there's no way, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of guys think there's no way, and they're just normal.
Yeah. So I'm from like a really small college town, and you know, my friends and I used to hang out on the local college campus, you know, from time to time. And one time we were there, and we saw this guy who was like walking, you know, walking around the campus, and you know, he was just like a pretty average looking guy. He was like kind of nerdy looking. You know, he didn't have like fashion that like stood out. He was just pretty average looking, and he must have had some sort of like, you know, maybe he had like cerebral palsy or some sort of disorder, and because his muscles were like really locked up, and he was sort of like walked with like a very heavy limp. And so we noticed this guy, and then didn't really think much of it. And then a few weeks later, we were all hanging out in this parking lot it was like really late. It was like 3 a.m. or something. This is when I was in high school. And, we're just hanging out and talking and whatever. And there were like a few bars that were near this parking lot. And we look over and we see that same guy coming out of one of these bars with 2 girls, like his arm around like...
That's right, not one.
Yeah, 2.
But 2.
Yeah.
One, he's got like his arms around both of them. And, he's like sort of awkwardly limping out of the bar with these 2 girls and, slowly but surely making his way across the parking lot. And we just like, we just sat there like and watched this happen. And we were like, holy shit, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
If anyone feels down about their situation, just,
remember this man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Epic.
Exactly. I mean, everyone has like some attribute that they can use as their excuse for why they're not successful.
Yeah.
It could be like, oh, well, I'm too young. That could be your excuse.
Yeah, right.
But, you seem to have cleared that obstacle with many women recently.
That's true.
Or, it could be I'm too old. Like in my case, obviously I could use that. Or a lot of the guys who I remember one time I was teaching a boot camp and the guy was 62 years old. And he wasn't like the 62-year-old who looks like he's not 62. He was definitely the 62-year-old who looked like he was 62. He really looked like he was somebody's dad. And, he was like opening a bunch of girls. We were at the Diesel Triple X party, which is like this big music EDM party they have in Japan that's hosted or sponsored by Diesel, the jeans company. So it's like a really hot party. And, you go to this this convention center and they have like 3 big convention center rooms open for this event. And so I was like, yeah, let's fucking go to this Diesel Triple X party. So I took him to this 62-year-old guy to this party. And it was really, really hilarious because I remember there was like this table, like those Red Bull tables that they have at like clubs and stuff and bars sometimes, like, have you seen them? They have these, Red Bull tables that are just kind of standard tables for at like bars, they're kind of high tables. And so there's these 3 girls at this table. And then these 3 like guys who are like young, like really bulked up, like walk over to the table. They don't talk to the girls, they just like are leaning on the table, like like glancing over at them, like kind of flexing their muscles a bit, hoping that, so I sent him into this set, right? So I sent him to open these girls, and the girls are like, oh, they start talking to him, and like the 3 dudes are just like, these looks on their faces, they were so confused. They were like, what the? They couldn't believe it. It was so good. And then after that, he approached this girl who, she was wearing like booty cutters and heels and this like tube top, and she was and she had one leg was bare and the other leg had like a fishnet stocking. It was really super hot. And he like opened this girl and she was really responsive, and it was so funny because there had been like people who we were in this kind of like there was like a food eating area, so we were in this area and people like had seen him approaching other girls. They saw him approach this girl and they saw it hook and they were like, what? They couldn't believe it. And he actually got that girl to show up for a date.
Whoa.
She was like 23 years old.
Whoa.
He was 62. He had a date with a 23-year-old. And he could use his age as an excuse. But he didn't. He just went out there and he tried to make it happen. And, let me tell you, you would definitely want to go out with this girl. I definitely wanted to go out with that girl. I was like, fuck, man. Wish I wasn't teaching this fucking boot camp. So... so whoever you are, you have some excuse that you can use for why you're not successful. And instead of using that as an excuse, just go out and try and get some girls.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say, we all have passive value, like how we look or money or status or whatever. And the thing...
Well, I don't know. Maybe we don't have any of those.
Oh, yeah. Well we start with... It's like a video game. You start with certain stats, right?
Yeah.
In each category. It could be negative or positive.
Yeah.
And... to get better is to work on your game, your understanding of women and people, and how to lead them in a certain direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, win-win.
Ain't no question.
Yeah, and I also want to say,
go ahead.
Yeah, I also want to say that the short guys, the guys that we know are looking up and envious of the tall guys. But even the tall guys that I know are even looking up to someone else.
yeah. There's
So
always
I hear-
someone who's better than you.
I literally
Yeah.
hear the same story from all of these guys, and you like, there's only a certain point, really, and really, it just drives someone mad, I think, to focus on these things versus as, what can I do to improve my game right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's really funny about the guys, like, you know, there's always someone who's taller than you, there's always someone who's better looking than you, there's always someone who has more money and can outspend you. There's no doubt. But you can either have or can create a unique set of attributes that will make you make you into a great offer for some particular girls, and some of those girls are going to be hot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, just want to throw in, like, ethnicity is also a thing that, you know.
Oh,
is
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like,
that's-
we're 3 different ethnicities over here, right? So I'm
Yeah.
Indian and got a black dude and a white dude here, so.
There you go.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can make it work.
Yeah, and you know, it's funny because you know, speaking of attractive women, you know, or I mean of attractive guys, you know, I've brought girls back to the apartment and they've met McConnell and they're like, he's so handsome, but they're out with me.
Yeah, you know what's awesome? During one of the boot camps, it was with Tall Order, Armin, and Island Boy.
Oh,
You brought the I call her the Japanese princess, who's half Japanese, half Filipino. She's wearing, like, teal dress.
Oh, yeah.
Oh man, that girl was smoking.
And, you know,
Oh
yeah,
man, that girl was super good.
the
Why do you have to
sacrifice-
remind me about
The
that?
sacrifice you have to do.
Oh man, that girl was so good.
Yeah. Like, he couldn't do anything because he was on a boot camp, right? But just, first of all,
I bounced them for food so I could ignore them. Yeah.
like, first of all, here's the magic. So I was talking with Tall Order, and he's like, wait, I didn't even see RedpoleQ talking to her during the club. Like, so, you know, this is, like, stealthy, right? And then brought her at 3 a.m. or whatever to the freaking restaurant, and then talking about boring stuff for 2 hours, right? The debrief, and then sending her home. So that's just incredible. And then she said something. She said, like, or you said something like, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you said, like, oh, you know, I'm not handsome, but, you know, look at the skills that one can acquire. Mm-hmm. And then she laughed or something. Mm-hmm. And then you said, yeah, you see, she thinks I'm not handsome, right? And yet, there she was. Boom.
She certainly thought Armin was handsome, though.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see. What do we have next? Are we up with Sleeping Beauty now? Is that
Yeah, that's
what's
right.
next?
Sleeping Beauty.
All right. So do you want to talk about Sleeping Beauty or?
Yeah. So I was with my regular girl, and we took a trip.
Arguably, she's now your ex-regular.
That's true. Yeah. Just you know, R.I.P.
Unless you get off, unless you're gonna go to London.
Yeah. So moment of silence for that one. But, anyway, so we were we decided to go on a trip to Japan, and we went to Tokyo, and I wanted to bring her to a happening bar. And for those of you who don't know, happening bars are a Japanese phenomena that you can't find in other countries. I mean, I guess you could find them in America as like swinging clubs. You know, they're so swinging parties or swingers clubs in America are probably like the closest analog to happening clubs in Japan. But I think happening clubs are a little bit different. And the way that they're basically set up is that there's actually 2 different categories. The first is happening bars, and the happening bars are, you know, bars or clubs where couples, single men, and single girls can all go with the intent of doing something sexual, whether watching other people having sex with someone you meet there, bringing your significant other with you and having sex with them, or swapping and having sex with other couples.
Or just bringing a random girl with you.
Yeah, or just bring your random girl with you.
And you can use to trade away.
Yeah. So that's sort of one category of these sorts of bars. The other is couple kisa, which are specifically for couples. Only couples can go. So whether that means you bring some random girl that you meet, or
Like a coworker.
yeah, or you bring, you know, someone you've actually been dating. But you have to come with another with a girl. If you're a guy, you have to bring a girl there and come as a couple.
And if you're a girl, you have to go there with a guy.
Yeah. So these are 2 different types, and I decided to go to a happening bar in Shibuya called Sleeping Beauty. And the reason I chose this specific club is because we know several people who have been there, and the reports seem to be pretty favorable. And they also seem pretty welcoming towards foreigners, which is not always the case in the sort of adult entertainment industries in Japan. So I decided to go to Sleeping Beauty with my girl, and I had some. I asked for some help from the lovely law student herself, one of RedpoleQ's reliable girls, and she helped me translate some of the website and read the frequently asked questions and whatnot. So before I went, so I could be prepared. So I went to Sleeping Beauty with my girl, and I sort of explained that we were going to go to a happening bar, and I explained what that was, and we had sort of a discussion before. She seemed really interested.
Is this before or after you went to Disney Sea?
After.
Okay.
After. So it was the day after. She had already recovered from Disney Sea. I don't know which experience was more wild for her, Disney Sea or happening bar.
You guys spent more time at the happening bar than
That's
at
true.
Disney Sea. So.
That's true. So I had talked to her about doing this, set like months ago, and she seemed pretty interested. So I, figured, okay, well, this will be fun couples activity after the family fun is all over. So we went, and we showed up kind of early actually, but it was really packed because it was actually a holiday weekend. The weekend we went. So I imagine like a lot of people were just, finished work and they were just sort of celebrating and going out. So because we were a couple, you get different wristbands at this club is called, one more time, Sleeping Beauty. And when you go in, you get wristbands depending on whether you're a single person or a couple.
Or a single girl,
single guy, and couple. And there's certain rules about who you can talk to depending on your wristbands, or at least there were when I went.
Yeah, and when I went too, couples could only talk to other couples.
Yeah.
And single guys. And
yeah.
Single guys could talk to anyone, and single girls could only talk to single guys. They couldn't talk to couples.
Yeah, that's right. So, so we got our wristbands, and we went into the main area, and they seated us with a bunch of other couples. So there were like maybe 3 different couples at the table we were sitting at. And it was super fun. We were just like hanging out with these, sort of random couples, and of course they were all quite hilarious. And
maybe you want to explain the layout a bit.
Oh, okay. So the way it works is it's actually 3 floors. It's in this building, and there's 3 floors, and the basement is a bar. There's like an actual bar there, and then there is
an all-you-can-drink bar.
Yeah, an all-you-can-drink bar. So what you pay, for that price, it better be all you can drink.
Well, the girls are free.
Yeah,
single girls go there for free, so they can stay there all night long, and they can drink all night for free.
Huh. Yeah. So the layout. The downstairs is a bar, all-you-can-drink bar. And then there's like a few little small tables that you can sort of like sit, around, like those sort of square tables.
Yeah, that's where we were.
Okay, yeah. And then there's a couple big, like longer tables that have like some seating, around them. And then, so I guess there's probably like 2 long tables downstairs?
I don't remember because there's like the area that was kind of back by the bar, and then there was...
Yeah, I didn't really go over there that much.
And then there was... the tables that are kind of close to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And then there was like the other ones in the kind of corner.
Yeah. So I was sitting at one of the tables in, I guess it was kind of close to the bathroom, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we were seated there with like a bunch of other, I think it was like 3 different couples. So it was us and then 2 more couples. Yeah, at our table. Mm-hmm. And, oh, no, sorry. 3 more couples. So 4 couples total, including us. And it was, it was really, really funny because, everyone was just like, super fun and having a great time. And, the guys, 2 of the other couples got their girls in cosplay. So one of them was in like a schoolgirl uniform, and the other one was just wearing, I don't know what it was, but it was pretty sexy. And then, we were just like, we played a couple.
Did your girl wear anything?
No, she didn't.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my girl was actually pretty. She was pretty conservative. She didn't really want to do anything. But she was
got into a cheerleader.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I would have liked to see that.
Partially because you're not allowed in there with tattoos.
Right. No,
So
she was like,
that,
she said she was afraid.
That covered her tattoos.
Yeah. So we were sitting at the table and we played some drinking games, and they were, the drinking games were supposed to get the girls to strip, but my girl refused to strip, and I was actually kind of not too happy about that. And I tried to get her to actually adhere to the rules, but she didn't want to. And I guess it's okay. And then I was telling, because there's like a bondage area upstairs. So there's the basement, which is like the bar and the seating, and then there's the sort of like mid level, which is the level that's like the ground level, and that's where you come in on. And there's like locker rooms there, and there's a place you can use your phone, because you're not supposed to use your phone in the proper club, because you're not supposed to be taking pictures of people, because they're all normal Japanese people with normal Japanese lives, and don't want to mix that stuff up. So there's that area, and then the upstairs is. There's like some padded rooms with like mirrors for sex, and there's like, you can go into those rooms and have sex, or you can like watch other people having sex in those rooms from the outside. And then there's some seating upstairs too, and there's like a bondage area that has all this bondage equipment, like ropes and gags and whips and all kinds of stuff. So so we were sitting downstairs, and I was telling some of the guys at the table that I could do shibari, which is like Japanese rope bondage. They were all really excited. And they were like, "Oh, we want to see your girl getting tied up." And I was like, "Yeah." And then I tried to take her upstairs to do that, but she was a little bit too shy.
Did she go upstairs at all?
Yeah, we went upstairs. We watched. We went up there, and she really liked watching the other couples having sex. She really enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, and I really tried to encourage her to to do stuff, even with just us having sex together with each other. But she was really sort of shy and against doing that. But she really loved watching the other couples having sex, and the couples at our table, it seemed like they all just wanted to swap with us. They were all pretty interested. And we had there were some girls who seemed pretty interested in her also, in my girl. And so the most that happened though was that my girl let me touch the tits of another girl at our table. So when she took them out, so that was it was fun, but
that's not really what you're into though.
Yeah, that's true. But it's why not? When in Rome, right? So yeah, I would have been glad to offer up my girl's chest for someone at our table to touch, but she was too shy.
Gotta have pretty long arms to reach all the way to the flatness.
Yeah. So we were hanging out. We hung out upstairs for a while, and we watched some of the other couples have sex. And she was just sort of interested and commented on like a lot of what was happening. And she was like, "Oh, that's interesting." And she was like, some of these guys aren't really that good. And she's like, "Wow, those poor girls,
Wow.
et cetera, et cetera." So so I think it was like really quite a successful trip. Unfortunately, that girl is out of the picture for the most part because she moved to another country. But I think it was like a good first step if you are interested in getting your girl to, even if you're just interested in getting a girl to pick up with you, or if you actually want to swap or like try swinging or try having threesomes or any of that stuff. I think it's like a really good introductory thing, even if you just bring your girl and you don't do anything, you just watch and you're just in that environment for a while. Because I could tell that my girl really enjoyed the experience of being there because, who else is going to take, her there, right? It's like a pretty rare thing. So I think she really appreciated the novelty of it. And I think if we lived in Japan or we went back frequently, and we went like several times, I think she probably would have been interested in actually trying stuff and been interested in experimenting more. But yeah, overall it's like a really great thing, and I definitely think that I'll make it a part of normal part of any like longer term relationships that I have, where I'll like bring girls that I'm seeing there just because it's.
So did it really like did the experience turn you on a lot, or was it just like fun for you?
Oh yeah, I was pretty turned on by the whole like experience of being there, because I actually really wanted to have sex with my girl there, because. I think I've never tried this before, but I think I would really enjoy having sex and having a lot of people watching me.
Have you ever had sex with anybody else watching you?
I've had sex in the same room as other people, but they were like asleep, or maybe they were watching.
Oh, right.
As far as I can tell, they were asleep.
Right.
So I've had that experience, and that was actually pretty exciting. So that was fun. But I don't think I've actually had sex where other people were like specifically watching what I was doing. Yeah, but that's something that's like a fantasy of mine. So it's something that I wanted to try for like a while. So I was actually hoping that we would be able to do it that time, but she was too nervous. And I was also interested. I was just like excited by the whole concept in general, and I actually kind of wanted to
open your own happening bar.
Yeah, definitely, ain't no question. Taiwan is seriously lacking.
They have the pool parties. I mean, we just don't know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
We don't know
the train parties too.
Oh yeah, and the train parties.
Yeah.
So we just don't know how to access that world. So
yeah. One of these days. Maybe.
Yeah.
So, and I actually was curious. I kind of wanted to have my girl. I kind of wanted to swap with another couple, or even just having like another guy have sex with my girl while I was there. I kind of wanted to have that experience just so I could know what it feels like, because I don't actually know how okay I am with that. And I think you said that before.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what it's like. And, with this girl where I know she's leaving, and, really, I don't know how good of a match she is long term anyway. Mm-hmm. So I felt it would be like kind of a good chance to sort of see like how I actually felt about that happening.
Right.
And I'm still really curious about that. And I actually had her, like pick out guys that she thought were attractive, or like guys she would be willing to have sex with. And she pointed at a few of them. But she seemed like, and I sort of encouraged her to like, I was like, oh, we can go like talk to them. And she was like, no. So, and I don't think it was very encouraging when we went and actually watched people having sex, because she was like, oh, but they're pretty bad anyway. Yeah. So that's the other thing, is I don't know if I like really, because a lot of guys are bad. So
that's kind of how Law Student felt when we went.
Yeah,
it was interesting. I've actually had people see me have sex. Well, full-on sex only twice. Is that correct? 1, 2, only twice? I'm pretty sure. Oh, I'm pretty sure there was like at least one other time. But it's interesting because for me that environment doesn't really turn me on. I just think it's fun. It's kind of like Pattaya. Actually, where it doesn't really turn me on, like when I go to like the Go-Go's, it doesn't turn me on really to be there. I'm not like, oh man, I'm just like there, like, oh, this is fun, like this is cool, like lots of titties, that's nice, girls shaking it, nice. Oh look, guys who are like with like super skeezy faces, that's fun. So it didn't really like. It's more just like it's more just fun for me. And actually I think that I'm maybe odd in that I actually don't really. Yeah, there's like I don't really think there's anything about that environment at all that turns me on. Actually,
it's pretty funny.
So I mean, it was fun, but I didn't have the urge to have sex like while I was there, like at any point.
That's pretty funny.
But when our situation was not nearly as good as yours, because when we went, I think there was 2 other couples. No, when we arrived, there might have been one other couple there.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah.
But when they sat us down at a table, we were with like 2 single guys or something, and Law Student's not interested in other guys at all, because she knows like guys are shitty in bed.
Right,
so
right.
She's not really interested in other guys. Although she likes to watch me bang other girls.
Yeah,
but she's not really. Oh, does that count? Threesomes, does that count as somebody watching?
I think it's kind of a different thing, because
Yeah,
you're like
so
involved.
too.
Everyone's
that's
involved
right.
in the experience.
Yeah, okay. So somebody watching maybe just twice. Really? Anyway. You'd think that you'd remember these things.
Yeah.
Anyway, at least twice, and maybe there was another time. But oh no, so at least 3 times. That's right. Because I went to another happening bar in Osaka many years ago.
Oh, okay.
And we had sex in like the padded room. And so people could watch me then. Yeah. And then there was the time when when I tried to kind of swap that time.
Yeah.
And then there was the time when me and a girl, the same girl I took to the happening bar in Osaka, me and her bounced to go back to our place, and then we just like had sex in front of her.
Oh, okay.
Because she like because my girl didn't know how to deal with her LMR.
Right.
Primarily. I mean, we met her at a club and bounced her back to the house, and we had her in the bed with us.
Yeah.
And then like we were like trying, the girl was like, and Mike was like, oh, she doesn't want to.
Oh,
I'm like,
shit.
we met her at a club like 5 hours ago, and we bounced her back to our apartment, and she's in bed with us. I'm pretty sure that
did she enjoy watching you guys, or is she like turned on by it?
I don't know. It was kind of a bit weird.
Was she like in the bed while you were having sex?
Yeah, she was in the bed next to us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was laying in the bed like just right next to us.
Yeah.
And basically, like I was like trying to figure out how to make it go, so I just kept on escalating on my girl, hoping that the girl would like get more into it.
Right, but that didn't happen.
No.
Okay.
So right. So anyway, so at Sleepy Beauty. Right, so we talked to like these single guys, and you know it was pretty funny because like it was one of the things that for me was very odd is that it felt like really just like a totally normal bar. Like it wasn't that kinky to me to be there. I mean, yeah, there were a bunch of dudes in 90s, but you know, I mean, it wasn't really that like kinky. It just seemed like a normal bar. People were sitting around drinking. The girls were sitting around. Some of the girls were like waiting for dudes to talk to them, and guys were like too embarrassed to like go and talk to them. And then maybe like a dude would go and approach a girl, and then she was not interested, and so you know, and then she would move somewhere else, and then another guy would talk to her, and then maybe she'd be keen, and then you know they would talk a bit, and you know maybe they would start kissing, and you know he'd play with her tits or something, and then they'd go upstairs. And you know it just seemed very natural. Somehow, like, it just seemed like that's kind of what should be happening. And I was thinking about, like, at a normal club, where it's like, you know, here the girls are, you know, they're not definitely there for sex, but they're pretty definitely there for sex. But I mean, really, most girls, if they can, like, find a guy that they think would be good in bed, would probably bang them. So, you know, but in a club environment, there's like a whole series of steps, you know, because you have to like leave the club and you have your friends with you. And, you know, there's all these kind of barriers that get in the way of the process.
And so these are not...
And you need to go to a place where sex can happen, and then you have to pay money additionally and stuff. Yeah. But here it's like everything is there. So all of those intermediary steps are removed, so you can just meet a guy, and if you want to bang him, you can just bang him. And there's not a lot of, you know, there's no barriers to move things moving forward. And what's interesting is like the price differential. So I mentioned already that girls go in there for free, and it's like all you can drink all night. So like if you're out in Japan, it's, you know, it's like impossible to take a taxi home normally because taxis are so expensive. So, you know, a lot of times people, if they miss their last train, they stay out all night. So Sleeping Beauty is like a good option for them because they can just go there and they can stay there all night long, and they can drink and they can sleep because, you know, there's lots of comfortable areas, and they can just crash out if they want to, and they can talk to guys. If they want to have sex, they can have sex. It's like and it's free. It's totally free. Wow. Whereas if they went somewhere else, they'd have to like, you know, you'd have to like, guys would maybe try to buy them drinks, and they'd have to like kind of maybe refuse, or, you know, or, and, you know, there'd be a lot of, it's much more, and they'd have to pay for their own drinks. And for guys, for single guys, after they're a member, so you have to become a member, and if you become a member as a single guy, it's like really expensive. I don't know how much it's like, maybe like $300 or something to become a member. But then if you go back, then it's like about $150 or so as a single guy if you go there, and if you go as a couple, it's like $80. So, you know, so it's kind of very interesting. It's like, you know, they extract the most value from the single guys, and then, you know, and I was thinking about this too, because there was like a guy that we met there, and he had sex with like 2 girls, and I was thinking about that because it's like, okay, so he paid, you know, about $150, maybe a little bit more than that, 150, almost $200, and, you know, he had sex with 2 girls, and basically in one night. And that's kind of like how much he would have paid. He would have, if he'd had sex with 2 girls, and he met them at a club, and he bought them drinks, and then he bounced them out, and he took them to a love hotel. It would have been about the same, except the chances of losing are much higher. Yeah. And especially, you know, maybe he gets off on people watching him, in which case, you know, it's like you know, it's like the sex is just a bonus. He's mostly into people watching him, you know, maybe. So it's such an interesting environment, from my perspective. And, and so, you know, I just thought it was really fun. I thought it was a bit odd that like, that there was a lot of blowjobs, and like in the bar area there was like this one guy who was just walking around with his dick hanging out, and then there was just some girl who just started blowing him, and there was like at one point there were 2 girls blowing 2 different dudes who were like next to each other, and I was like, oh, that's interesting, you know. And you know, which I guess that's a little bit out of the ordinary, but you know, it was yeah, okay, cool, whatever. And then I took my girl up to the top floor where they have like the rooms, and we looked at other couples having sex. And so it was interesting that the only time I saw a guy go down on a girl was that guy who banged 2 girls. He went down on this girl that actually I and my girl, I guess, were pretty keen on, but we were too slow because, you know, we were sort of new, and there was only 2 couples, I think, the whole time we were there. I think there were only 2 couples, and one of them, you know, we probably should have talked to them when we first saw them, but we didn't, and then they left pretty soon after, I guess. And then the other couple wasn't really a couple. It was like a guy and I guess a girl that he really liked. And then, you know, she's just like all over other dudes. And, you know, and we probably should have made a move on her because she talked to me fairly early on. But I kind of didn't really engage with her as well as I could have. But anyway, and so that girl, the guy who we saw bang 2 girls, he went down on her. But other than that, we didn't see anybody go down on any girls, which I thought was pretty strange. We didn't really see anything unusual happening. It was just, you know, guys like making out with girls, feeling all their tits. Then girls would like give dudes blowjobs, and then like they maybe would go up to the room, and then, you know, maybe a little bit more blowjobs, and then maybe a little fingering, and then maybe they just fucked them. And it was so normal. And because I was expecting to see some weird shit there, like, you know, something weird, you know, but I didn't. So it was kind of, I don't know, disappointing is the word, but a little bit. You know, because when I went to the Happening Bar previously, there was like an S&M room and people were using it. And a guy invited us in to like watch him like tie up this girl, and he had like, and I don't remember what he was, you know, but he was like, you know, he blindfolded her, and, you know, he was like teasing her and like spanking her and, you know, doing different things. And he like asked me if I wanted to, and so I did a little bit. And so, but anyway, but for law student, basically all we did was in the lounge area, I just started fingering her, and, you know, and I squirted her in the lounge area, and, you know, and it was kind of funny because like there was this one guy that we talked to kind of a lot, and he was like with his face like inches from her crotch, like he was like really into it, like really watching up close, and he was like really enjoying it, and, you know, and I think she really like got turned on being the sort of star of a mini show, and yeah, that was all good. But for me, you know, she blew me a little bit. But I didn't respond at all. I was just like, I mean, it felt good, but it wasn't like, yeah, it just isn't that, for whatever reason, that environment doesn't really, like, it's really fun, and I, like, want to go, but I don't feel turned on. So it's a bit odd. Yeah. And when I went to the Happening Bar last time, it was a very similar situation. Yeah. Where I don't know if it's, you know, what it is. You know, maybe I'm just a pussy. I don't know. Maybe I'm a shy boy. Yeah. Too much of a shy boy. But yeah, I had the same problem with when I went last time. You know, where, you know, I didn't really. I think that the other one was a little bit different. There was more spots where you could be kind of alone. So in the alone spots, my girl could get me going with no problem. But when there were like other people around, like, or I don't know if it was other people or just other guys or what. But anyway. Yeah, but it was definitely fun, and I actually really wanted to go back the next day, but instead we went to the hub and tried to pick up normal girls. So I don't know if that was a mistake. I think maybe she was, I don't know, you know, maybe she was concerned about the money or something. I don't know, because it is kind of, you know, it's not cheap, right? But yeah, it was definitely a fun experience. So you know, if you're in Japan and you can you know, slip into one of these places, I would definitely recommend going, just as a bizarre experience to have.
So you both went to Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah.
So that's foreigner friendly?
Well, you have to speak some Japanese, I think. Yeah.
First of all, they're not very, I wouldn't call them friendly there.
Yeah.
First of all. So calling them friendly is a mistake. But you know, I guess but it's a place where it's not uncommon for foreigners to go, so they're okay. Because there's other places where foreigners are just not allowed at all.
Yeah, got it.
And you know, one of the main things is they want to make sure that you can follow all the rules. They don't want to have any problems. So they have rules like, you know, the couples always have to be together. And I guess this is because, you know, it happens that couples get separated and some girl ends up banging some other dude, and then there's a fight there, and you know, they don't want any of that. So couples have to stay together, and they have to be like really, like close to one another. And they want you to have like to be able to understand when someone is saying like no or I don't want to or stop it or whatever, anything like that. So the rules are largely in place so that there's not, or about foreigners are largely in place so that they make sure that nothing bad happens and everyone is having the experience they want to. Yeah. Also, they're really strict with condoms there.
Yeah.
They said even if you're married, you have to use condoms. And I guess that's once again just to make sure that there's no problem. So I don't know. Maybe that's the reason why I wasn't very responsive. As soon as they were like, "Yeah, you have to use a condom," I was like, "Yeah."
Did you have to use a condom when you were getting a blowjob?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Do they have showers and stuff?
Yeah. They have showers. Yeah.
How would you introduce the idea to your partner to go there in the first place?
Oh. Well, how did you do it? I mean, yeah.
How I did it is that we were actually how I originally did it is that we were talking with one of our friends about swinging because he's really into swinging.
Who?
Our friend from Hong Kong.
Oh, right. Yeah. Our friend from Hong Kong.
Yeah. So he's really into swinging and he's been to a lot of swinging events with girls and he I guess with his girl that he's seeing now,
No, I don't think they've been to any swinging events, but they did try threesomes with one of his guys who he used to.
Oh, that's right.
He doesn't only do swinging; he also does gangbangs.
Yeah.
He's really into gangbangs, actually.
Yeah, like multiple guys, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, he was.
Smooth is like, oh, I didn't know you could be into that. It's like, yes, you can.
New territory.
You thought tattoo was weird.
So he was talking about that, and I had my girl, out because I don't really filter things like that. I just sort of like to, I know that you're also this way, or I just like to have my girl around so that she can see what kind of, scumbags I hang out with, and yeah. And that's that kind of I'm a pretty weird person and lots of kinks and whatnot, so she should see that part of my life.
I'm not such a weird person, apparently.
Yeah, but you hang out with weird people, so
that's true.
The girls are going to be around them at some point.
That's definitely true.
So we were just hanging out talking about that stuff, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been wanting to go to one of these clubs in Japan, so we had already sort of planned this trip, and I said, well, when we go to Japan, we should check it out. And she was like,
because she really wanted to go to Disney Sea.
So I was like, yeah, we should go check it out. And she was like, okay, that sounds fun. And then, that was, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think and we were sort of alluding to this today, but, I think that one of the mistakes that guys make, guys who want to progress their women in a sexual manner, they make the mistake of being, because they're often uncomfortable with sexual topics, then it makes it hard for them to have kind of an open dialogue. But girls that I date, they hear, I send them, or even before I've closed girls, sometimes I'll tell them about how Tattoo is into golden showers, for example. I'll be like, I'm not into that, but I know people who are, and and that's fine. Or I'll talk about our Hong Kong friend who did a threesome with his girlfriend who he lived with, who he's engaged to now and wants to marry, and he had a buddy come over and they double teamed her, and that's fine. And when you talk about this stuff, then girls sort of, because a lot of girls' sexuality is more or their limits on their sexuality is more about their ideas of what they think guys would think are good and bad. I mean, obviously, look at the popularity of 50 Shades of Grey is the obvious example, and girls are super eating that up, right? I mean, now, it's a lot more popular in the West than it is in Asia, but, people would think that, this guy's disgusting, but the girls are running to the box office to see it, so, he must not be that disgusting. It's one of those things where if your other attribute, it's their idea of a lot of people, they have an image of what somebody who is into those things is like. And that image is bad. But if they meet someone who is, looks like a nice pure boy and he's into that, then it must be okay. I think that's kind of more where it stems from. And so when you sort of introduce this stuff early and you just bring it up as that's kind of how your life is, then girls seem to get on board pretty easily.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of the stuff that I like to do, I usually tie girls up pretty quickly. I had
first date choking.
yeah. I had one girl, who we
Oh,
had
maybe
sex.
you could get that domain name, firstdatechoking.
Yeah, very possible. One girl that I
Choke bus.
That's pretty good.
He's like, if they had it, I'd watch it.
Well, we could make it.
Yeah, we could.
A lot of business opportunities out
A lot
there.
of business opportunities.
Yeah.
Between that and extreme pervert and HIV roulette, I mean.
Yeah. So much room for.
Sorry, anyway, go ahead.
What was I saying? Yeah, there was one girl who I closed, and the day that I closed her, I wasn't planning on doing a lot of any crazy stuff because I usually don't try to like. I mean, I sometimes I'll choke girls on the first time I close them, but I mean it really depends on the girl and the situation, and you have to sort of like calibrate, right? But usually I don't really start to do anything like special or different until the second or third time, or even like much later than that. So
Wait a minute. What do you mean by anything out of the ordinary? I mean, you normally squirt girls the first time.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But yeah, I mean, I guess this depends on what you like, categorize as being like ordinary or vanilla.
A lot of people don't even know that exists.
I guess, especially in the West.
Yeah, especially in the West.
So, anyway, but I don't like do any anal on the first time. Usually.
No anal play at all?
Sometimes some, but it just depends on, and it also depends on like, sometimes I just don't think of doing it, or I don't think of, I'm just like focusing on other things.
Right.
Because I mean, usually the first time is like a lot of like figuring out
Yeah,
what she's
yeah.
into. So,
Absolutely.
usually it's like, even if there is anal play, it's usually kind of minimal because I'm
Right,
trying
sure.
lots of stuff.
Just licking or maybe one finger.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, but for example, like I usually won't tie girls up for several times after I close them. But I had this one girl and I closed her, and then after we finished having sex, I was just like talking to her about sex some more, and I was like, oh yeah, I can like tie girls up, and she was like, oh really? And she's like, show me. And I was like, oh, you want to try now? And she's like, yeah, sure. And then I like took my ropes out and I tied her up, and she really liked it. So and then of course when I run like when I'm like sexualizing on the day too, oftentimes I'll talk about me being able to do shibari, or I recently I've been taught I can talk about like the Happening Club and like talk about that experience, and then girls just they know that that's something that I'm interested in or want to do or have done, so it's not weird when I'm like, hey, let's try this thing.
Right. I mean, yeah, when you start like sort of expanding people's boundaries early on, that's like a part of your relationship.
Yeah.
Interesting, because I would think, I should be safe at the beginning and then open up as, the better we get to know each other. But I guess if you start off with showing certain sides of yourself, you have more to expand on later.
Yeah, I mean, this is like one of the great things in 50 Shades of Grey is that like in the first movie he like takes her to do all these like sort of extreme things, like they're like flying in his helicopter and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, well then when he like tries to like do sort of crazy sexual stuff, it's like, oh well, I can kind of understand, because he's like pushing her boundaries like a lot in the beginning.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty good illustration of that.
Ain't no question.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't think I have anything else to say about that. I guess one day, I can tell some stories from my my threesome attempts.
Yeah.
And some swapping attempts.
Yeah.
Some swapping successes.
Yeah.
Anyway, some more dirty dog sexual stories, because that one gets like a lot of views.
Yeah.
That one we talk about them.
All right, cool. It was pretty productive chat. Any other comments from any of you guys?
No more for me. Always good to hear your experience, and
Yeah.
I guess next time you hit up Tokyo, and next time I hit up Tokyo, I'll probably make my way back. Got my members card.
Yeah, me
Got
too.
my members card
Me
right
too.
now.
Yeah.
Would you? Maybe I'll try going I'll just go as a single guy.
Yeah, I would too, just to see what it's like. Yeah.
But there were a lot of single girls roaming around.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Leave us comments.
Oh yeah, that's right. I should say that again. If you guys really like this this podcast, then you should definitely email us, ask a question, show us some love, because we get busy with stuff. Girls, we spend a lot of time on girls. We spend a lot of time teaching how to get girls. We spend a lot of time trying to find guys that we can teach to get girls, although not as much time as we should. And and because of that, we often don't put this at a very high priority. So if you start showing us how much you like this podcast, and if you introduce your friends to it, then we see more and more people coming to listen to it, then we'll definitely do more.
Yeah.
So show us some love. I know McConnell always wants me to forward him any fan mail that we get.
Yeah.
Because it gets him pumped to do more of these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks to SMOOOOOOVE for joining us.
Yeah.
Appreciate your assistance, and I hope you had some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. So, this has been Asia Hangout Suite. You can find out more about us at pickupasia.com or redpoleq.com/podcast.
Yeah.